Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher, Mike Haspil, and Wyatt Turk, most interesting man in the history of ever. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
The name's Gleer these days. I play piano.
And I am super interesting, apparently.
That's what I said.
Most interesting man
in the history of ever. That's a big compliment.
I'll take it.
You're way more interesting than I am.
He's got a beard, first off.
Wow.
True.
Just rolling right for the gut punch.
I even like curated it for today. It was looking a little peasant. I had to clean it up.
Hobes.
Rude.
So, fully committed to our Thursday schedule. Space Marines happened. Got books in hand. Stratagems out in the world. So, get forward to figuring out what changed and what's powerful today in our meat and potato segment. But we have a good show, right? We still have a Haspil's Corner.
Mm-hmm.
We have a tabletop market watch, which Rob has already promised us in the pregame show is going to be super interesting and groundbreaking in many ways.
Or it could all be a clever ruse.
Well, and now what I'm doing is waiting to see if Wyatt's got a new legendary way to break in with a would you rather.
Oh, I was just waiting for you to hand it off, bro. I have a great one.
Handed.
All right. Would you rather have to do 10 minutes of stand-up with no preparation or act in a film where you only got your lines like a couple of minutes before going live, so no preparation?
Are these paid gigs?
Yeah.
How much? Which pays more? They pay the same?
It's neither here nor there. It's just you got to do it. In this magic scenario, you are like poofed, and you are either like in front of a mic on a stand-up stage in front of a crowd of people there to see stand-up, or you are poofed onto the set and the director is like, "Did you learn your lines? Okay, cool, go."
Yep. In both scenarios, Al can feed me my lines.
Al does not exist.
Al does not exist. So no Ziggy, no Al.
No Al, no Ziggy. No. Jeez.
Oh, boy.
This is not a quantum leap scenario.
You don't know that.
The Jin knows all.
Yeah, I would rather do film. You can do 40 takes. I'll learn my lines while they do it.
What's my line?
Even my line.
You know how expensive running film is?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't care. It's not as money
now. It's all digital.
It's not as money. Yo, okay, follow-up question. Where geographically in space and time am I for my stand-up?
America.
Like, is it just random? Like, am I in the South? Like, am I just poop at a bar in the South?
America.
Okay, just okay. Just want to, because I know if my content is ready to go.
Yeah, it could be like stuffy Connecticut. It could be Miami. It could be in the middle of Arizona. Like, you don't know. Just gotta go.
What about the movie? Is there a genre associated with it, or the same thing? Like same randomness applies?
Random. Yeah.
Random. I'm going to speak to the director right away and just ask for an earpiece, and they can read me my lines. Done. Gamed. I'll be like Marlon Brando or Robert Downey Jr. That's what they do.
I think I would do stand-up.
I'll do stand-up too. You know how much dumb shit I have to say? Like,
that's exactly what I was like. I was like, bro, I have a list of things that have personally occurred that are so crass and ridiculous that I would just
hope you don't bomb like crazy.
Oh, I will bomb.
Oh, yeah. But nobody... Yeah, who cares?
I will bomb like crazy, but at least I will be able to do my job, which is fill my 5 minutes.
It's 10 minutes. As you know, these are not only for you. This is also for our listeners. And stage fright is a very real thing. So I think that's the main reason it's really hard, is because, like, you know, we're all broadcasters for the most part, right? So I mean, like, a lot of that is kind of like not tangible for us, but it's still like
there's people watching this.
Yeah, we are
right
live
now.
I thought this was just us.
I thought it was just a Zoom call.
So we're going to be like Truman Showed in this scenario?
I don't understand what that
Like
means.
you said, it's for our audience, like podcast audience.
No. I'm just saying. So it's like
some people would really.
It's two things.
Right.
Like, so one thing is stage fright, right? And the other thing is like embarrassing yourself at your job. Because it's not just you don't know your lines. Like you just ruined.
You don't know anything. You don't know what scene you're in. You don't.
Yeah,
know
like the gaffers just spent like 2 hours setting up the lighting for this. You may only have this location for a certain amount of time.
It's magic hour. The sun's going down.
Yeah, you're costing people money. Like you know, there's that aspect of it.
Yeah, I would be too embarrassed to go on a movie set because I'd be fucking too many people, so I wouldn't be able to do. So,
yeah, I'd much rather embarrass myself and not cost other people money.
But if I'm in a prestigious enough comedy club where I'm getting 10 minutes, I know for sure I could talk for 10 minutes straight about my small dick, about my eating habits, like my dog and our relationship, and I'll end on
solid backup.
And I'll end on some poop. So I got a really good poop story that I can spend 3 minutes on, and then I will finish off with like something about boomers. Too easy. My dad.
I mean, considering where you live, I mean, like I'm sure there's like 5 open mic nights.
Oh, and Florida.
Comedy story.
I'll talk about Florida, my dick, my poop story, my dog relationship, and my dad. Too easy.
Because didn't Bonet take like
she completed she completed Upright Citizens Brigade. She completed the first the first part of the course.
I bet that would be good for you.
Good luck.
You should go do some
comedy
open
comes
mic
in
nights.
3.
Well, she really wants me to. She wants me to go and
I would really like to see that just to see if it did well or not. Because I imagine because one thing that a lot of people talk about is how hard it is for comics to get up in front of people and start, even if they have really good material, but you coming from like doing everything you do live, even though there are people right in front of you, still live, be interesting to see what would happen.
it's definitely nerve-wracking for sure when physically you're live. I mean, I've been in scenarios where I'm like, this is a little bit more nerve-wracking than I expected to be. That's why Bonet wants me to take those classes. But I am prepared to bomb in my open mics situation, but at least I can talk for 10 minutes about some crash shit, get booed or cheered, whatever happens. Comedy club owners like, well, at least you filled your spot. You made the next guy look good. Whereas if I was at a movie set, I would be just crippled by anxiety about costing everyone who's busting their ass around me time.
Yeah. You just got to go in with the ego that nobody else matters because they're all little people and you're good.
Best.
And they'll just be like, that dude right there doesn't know his lines, doesn't even know his scene, but he has that star energy, treats everyone like garbage. You just turn to some random guy, hey, you get me something off the craft table. It's got to be keto.
I need a gluten-free pasta salad.
They'll be like,
right
that's
now.
the first AD. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Get me something off the craft table.
There you go.
Karen Quinn was like, boomers, canceling my Patreon. Get off my bank accounts. I love it.
He's still waiting on his Adeptus Custodian shirt.
No, I'm sorry. It's just so hard. So hard to be an artist and get motivated. I'm sorry. I do apologize. He did tell me straight up on my Facebook page when I posted my new Wyatt Tank stuff, and it's like, I don't give a shit until I get a custodian shirt. Facts. I was like,
oh wow! Now you got like that one guy that comments on your things about the one thing he wants.
Karen Quinn. He's bought.
Who would do that, Rob?
Karen Quinn has bought every one of my shirts, and he gives them out as gifts at tournaments. One shirt he wants is the custodian, so I recognize him. I see him. My best. Thank you for your support. I'll get off your yard, off your lawn.
I'm sorry, I'm on your grass.
Oh, hey, on the subject of open mic nights and shit like that, tomorrow, aren't you and I supposed to be on the Army Painter's birthday stream?
We are. At some time.
Because we have opposing time slot or like back-to-back slots, but I asked Adam if we could just go on the same time.
Yeah, how are we going to do that? Because they want Skype. They want it to be Skype, and I don't have Skype. Well, I do have Skype, but I don't have it on my machine.
Told you, just go to the browser. That's what I did. Just went to Skype's website. Apparently, you can just dial in.
Okay. I'll try that ahead of time.
I mean, I'm going to give him 10 minutes. I'm going to try to make it work. So I'm pretty sure Skype handles more than one call. So we can both jump in and talk about dick and fart jokes for 25 minutes.
Can we troll them and be like, hey, when we get some gold spray, some gold or bronze spray, I appreciate your medals. I really want some gold Army Painter spray paint.
Adam likes to he gave us some rules. He's like, hey, we're going to talk about this, that, of course, that. And I'm like, we're going to troll you.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why he told us. The first mistake was inviting us on your stream. The second mistake was telling us what to talk about.
You want to talk about that would you rather scenario? It's going to play out tomorrow. Our time slot.
Kinda is.
Just going to derail the Army Painter stream.
What's my line? What? Adam, give me some fucking gluten-free pasta salad.
Yeah.
Mail it to me right now.
You can't say that, bro. Oh, fuck. Sorry. Fuck, I said it again.
Fuck.
Literally within a second. It's funny because I read when because I unlocked the YouTube in the morning, and it goes out live. It's like literally you have to do this thing where you're like, all right, sure, let's turn on ads. And then it's like, okay, what level of profanity is your YouTube video? And it's like, it gives you this like scale. And it's like saying the F word within the first 30 seconds. And I'm like, damn it. It's
demonetized.
No, it actually it doesn't go that hard sometimes. Sometimes it's like, all right, we'll see what we can do. We'll shop it around.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't get monetized. And I was like, we just talked about this last night. Sad pandas.
Yes. It's like, do we get points for that fuck in the first 30 seconds of the show? Was in response to us asking someone not to say fuck?
Yeah. Is there a flow chart?
Nah, I mean, there is no fuck context. It's just, you can't say it. That's the rule.
Rob, you got some news for us?
I got a few things. So I got some juicy hot goss, but let's go
some crispy nuggies.
Yeah, some warm tender nugs. But let's run down the new releases first. So the Necron Ophidian Destroyers, those three-legged beasts from the really sweet teaser video. Those are coming out now. Remember, these are the ETB ones from Indominus / Command / all the other starter boxes. I think they're in all of them. I don't know. I stopped looking when there's like 4 tiers of them. They're $55 US for the 3. And I think they come with that plasma sight neuter too.
Yeah, because he like can absorb wounds for him or something.
Yeah. The Satan Shard of the Void Dragon is $110 US. Sorry, Haspil.
Don't even want to imagine putting that thing together.
Or transporting him.
Yeah, with all that, like the floaty rocks and lightning. Ugh.
But he looks amazing. The way he's like half digital and you can see into his chest because it's like reforming.
Oh yeah, and he's got the.
I saw that they had 3 different heads, and they're equally really cool. I'm just like, it's so cool, but I hate that he's on like the lightning with the floaty rocks, and it's so fragile. Like,
the floaty rocks work.
I mean, it looks amazing, but I'm talking like structurally.
It reminds me of that Stormcast Prime guy who was on that big swirly double helix thing. Yeah. That was not easy to build. I made a mistake. I was thinking the Scorpec Destroyers from last week. So chat has let me know I'm a stupid face. Those are the Wraith looking guys with the old swirly tails. Mm-hmm. Reserve the right to backpedal at any time. Primaris Tech Marine, $45 for that. Getting him. $45?
Sorry. That was the Canadian price. Sorry, Canada.
Ooh.
$35.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's actually really cool. I want him.
Yeah, he's very cool. I'm going to be picking him up.
Always loved Tech Marines.
The Canada column.
They've always been poopy, but now he actually does a cool thing, so I really want him.
And the Monolith.
Yay.
$170.
Yeah.
Slow clap.
That was the sound of my soul.
That's like a
body.
Fucking better be a goddamn beast.
GW has literally put out 3 of their most expensive single model kits since COVID hit. Archaon, previously, all the Knights, the Dominus, and the Questoris, Teclis, the Mega Gargants, and now $170 Necron Monolith. Wow.
Still neither of the updated troop choices. Strange.
So I have some thoughts on that too. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Hammerfall Bunker is $60, and likewise the Necron's Convergence and Dominion also $60. Those are the terrain pieces. Look pretty dope. Then there's some books. Who cares? We don't read. It's Chronicles Elves of the Omnibus and Nexus and Other Stories. That's $8, and the Omnibus is $21. So there was the preview today for the new codexes. They gave us the order in which the codexes are coming out, and then they gave us some teasers for what might be happening in actual January. Now, previously they said that Dark Angels would be coming out in early 2021 with a Xenos book, and that's all they said. And then today we saw 2 covers that said like redacted on it, and it had some artwork, but it didn't quite look like an artwork, but like the cover of a book, right?
Yeah, it's like a filler image.
Kind of.
One is like the Golden Throne, right? So that's like for people who don't listen to the podcast, they're like, oh, it's probably Imperium.
Right. Is it the Golden Throne? Because it had Guilliman on.
Oh, it looked like the Golden Throne. I didn't.
It looked Golden Throne-ish, but it had Guilliman on a statue of Guilliman. That wasn't the Emperor. So I was looking for that artwork, but I couldn't find it, unfortunately.
Spoilies, it's actually the Ultramarines updated supplement.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, man. Happy.
If they put out individuals like they did last year, it's going to be a lot of books. A lot of books.
A lot of damage.
So there's a few kits left for Space Marines still, right? And I think we actually put out a post this morning about it. What still for the Necrons, it's only the 2 Cryptex and flayed ones. After this week, that's all that's coming out, unless they re-release some stuff from ETB from Indominus. But for Marines, we still got the hover tank, the Gladiator, right? You know, it makes all the variants. The Captain, the Heavy Intercessors, that I know somebody here is really excited for. The multi-part
I already got 15, dog. They lost their chance to get my money.
Oh, well, all right. Fair enough. Blade Guard, multi-part, the Eradicators multi-part, the multi-part Intercessors, and the Speeders, or the Speeder with all the variants, right? That's all that's left to come out. Now, if you go and you look at the codexes that they announced, it got my brain pan thinking, and I'm like, wait a minute, how are they going to put out the rest of the releases? So I'm looking at this release chart, and they're like, okay, next month, Space Wolves and Death Watch. And I'm like, all right, cool. What? Remember, they're doing splash releases. Like every book that comes out, there's probably going to be something that comes out. Like maybe it's Dice, maybe it's a clan pack. We know, there's Lilith, there's another Tech Priest, there's Orcs, there's all this stuff on the way, right? Space Wolves. Guess who hasn't come out yet?
Intercessors.
Ragnar Blackmane.
Wait.
Hasn't come out. Hasn't.
You can't just. I thought he was.
He was. Yeah.
Saga of the Beast.
What?
Yeah.
Mandela effect universe is this?
Yeah, it came out in Saga of the Beast with Gazgul.
Yeah, I knew that, but I thought he's already a clamshell.
Nope.
Isn't that right? No. Wow.
Oh, okay.
Well,
because I was like, I have a Ragnar, but not in a clamshell. That kind of.
I think we all got a Ragnar from the same person.
That's true.
Actually, I got mine from you, Kenny.
Oh yeah. You have the one that I got from Rob. So we all did get it from the same person.
He's up on my shelf right here, like build a Space Wolf army. I'm like,
so,
maybe
it's possible.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's possible that the same month that we see the book for Death Watch and we see the book for Space Wolves, another something that's interesting is in the index for Death Watch, you can take Eradicators and Heavy Intercessors in the same squad and their troops.
Oh,
that's so
sick.
dumb.
I don't even need boner pills right now.
Right? So what else would be good to come out with those books than Heavy Intercessors and Eradicators, the new multi-parts, along with the Death Watch book?
It makes sense. I wish they had done the troop boxes first, because it's like the core of everybody's collection. But yeah, it kind of makes sense.
I agree. Heavy Intercessors, the Assault Intercessors could also come out at the same time for Space Wolves because they both use them. And then we saw most of the leaks for the Gladiator tank and the Speeder were all painted red. So there's a chance that in December, we'll see those released along with the Blood Angels because we already saw Mephi. So
yeah.
And we know what's coming out for Death Guard, that piece of terrain, and the Lord of Virulence. So then that slides us into January, where nobody knows nothing, except for we got a really interesting email today. I've never seen this level of sophistication or concealment in any submission to the site, but this email really had a lot of stuff to say about potentially a new race coming to Warhammer 40K. Now, these are all rumors.
So what you're telling me is this is the deep throat of
this
40K
is yes.
rumors.
Yes.
Okay.
And the only reason we talk about this stuff is like, Spikey Vis is always talking about rumors and they never come true. Dude, rumors are fun. It's 2020. It gives us something to talk about. They're fun.
Yeah, time has no meaning here. We need to get all the joy out of this stone that we can. We got to suck all the joy out of this stone.
I don't know what any of that means, but okay.
It's a reference. You can't get blood from a stone, so you get.
You can't. Yeah, can't get blood from a turnip. From where I come from. All
right.
So,
where do you come from? Super Mario Land 2?
No, he's talking about the caves underneath the Denver airport. Wow, they just grow turnips down there.
So, anyone who's listening to this right now, follow along. Pause the podcast, go get your main rule book, flip to page 34. Reference.
Yes, there's an interesting artwork picture. Now, on the Indominus 40K reveal stream, I think it was May, it might have been June. Time has no meaning here in the Matrix. But during that stream, that big preview stream, Andy Horay and I believe also Jess Goodwin, they doted on this piece of artwork. They brought it up and they talked about it. And they're like, this piece of artwork represents all the different, like,
they gave it substantiated amount of time. Like, there's literally was no fucking reason for them to spend that much time on this picture. It didn't make sense.
Pulled it up on the screen. They talked about it. They're like, really going into like this is what makes 40K, all this crazy shit out there. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember exactly, but I was just like, guys, nobody cares. Show us the Space Marines. And right, I'm yelling at my TV because, that's what we do. Anyways, long story short, that was in the rule book. And apparently that is the basis for this rumor, which also, if you look at the redacted cover image, this is also that piece of artwork. So either it's a placeholder for a new Xenos book, or as this rumor goes, it may potentially be the first new Xenos race or any race for Warhammer 40K since the Tau in 2001. So
we're not counting Genestealer Cult as a faction.
They're not a race. Genestealer Cult's been around since they've been around.
I see what you're saying.
Well, I don't know. I mean, playable.
I mean, almost everything's been around. It's just
that's true.
This is, what I'm saying, but like obviously, but we knew a lot about Genestealer Cult before we got that hot.
Tau just appeared out of nowhere.
They appeared out of nowhere. Genestealer Cult didn't, but I think more about Genestealer Cult, these rumors, because Genestealer Cult was like the first 8th edition codex, right? Like that was like
mechanics.
Mechanically, it was like had nothing, no past rules to inject or like build from or feeling there. It was new and creative and all these new mechanics that had to get FAQ'd and clarified endlessly, but it was very new. So this new shit you're talking about, page 34 of your main rulebook, you'll see a collection of possibly a Confederation, as Haspil put it earlier, Xenos, very cool looking Xenos artwork. Now there are very cool ones and there's very dorky ones. Now, unfortunately, dorky one is the one we're talking about.
So supposedly this race is going to be called the Amanita. How do you say it, Haspil?
Amanita or Amanita.
Oh,
Amanita, probably.
Amanita. Amanita.
If you Google it, it is a mushroom. That's what that word means. It's some type of mushroom.
Amanita horrificus. Supposedly they're going to be aligned with Eldar to prevent the Tyranids from coming into some sort of time sentient.
You have to protect the spice.
You got to protect the spice.
Like, it expands the mind, dog. Like, so special mushrooms, kind of a big deal.
Supposedly, as this rumor goes, the Tyranids are trying to gain the ability to manipulate time by protecting. So these guys are trying to protect the remnants of a species able to do so from getting consumed by the Tyranids. Okay, cool. Sure, sounds good. But then it goes on and it goes on and it keeps talking. And there's a lot of words here. But basically, I'm going to paraphrase it here that they have a whole new design philosophy for the tabletop where they don't have psychic powers. They have area of effect, like terrain, or they mark points on the battlefield, and they either buff their army or they debuff the opponent's army, supposedly, as the rumor goes. And this serves as the replacement to psyker actions. I'm just reading through all these notes because it's a lot of stuff. Now, the thing that's pretty cool is they have splitting models, which kind of makes sense because if you ever played Halo and, shot those stupid things that would get out and the Flood would get in and animate something else. So apparently their models can split apart and recombine to form bigger things, kind of like, the horrors, the demon horrors and stuff. But there is a cost, like stratagem cost or something like that involved. And overall, their models, like this is just background. Whoever sent this stuff is just kind of talking about background, didn't really get into the models because supposedly, as they put it, it's going to be the pinnacle of miniature artistry by the GW design team. I want to believe.
Sounds very Sylvaneth. Plant monsters, new game mechanics, pinnacle of artwork, Sylvaneth. Definitely that checkbox when it dropped.
I could see it. They got the technology. They've done it.
What?
But kind of interesting, to see that. And then, of course, if you're looking at your rule book on page 34, you'll see the Spore dude there with mechanical looking guns. And, there's some other kind of like drone things that look to have some sort of control over humans and some sort of, it looks like a big Tyranid skull, maybe that's like strapped down.
The only way I'm getting hype on this is if like every cool Xenos on that page is like in something type inside this is a confederation. I'm not going to be hype if it's just fucking mushroom people.
Wow. Mushrooms have feelings too.
They do not. They're fucking not.
They do not. Well, anyways, it's a fun little rumor, and hey, if it comes true, it comes true. If not, hey, we still get codex books in January, so hey, win-win, right? We went back and we looked. The first Xenos book out of the gate in 8th edition was in November of 2017. It was Tyranids, followed by Craftworld Eldar, I think in February of 2017.
See, Nids was my prediction for February, but I could see Tau, but thing I cannot see is a brand new faction. We've beaten this to death. There's so many fucking models that need updates across the game, and every single person who listens to the show who plays a faction and loves this faction and playing it for a long time, you have your own list. You have your own list of models that you can't believe are still the only models that exist. So if a new faction drops, still only have those old models, you're going to be triggered just like I would be triggered. But if this is just a rumor, which has a lot of detail, as Rob pointed out, for trolling, like, under the radar fucking press release.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yep, 100%.
I mean, we've seen people do like some pretty extensive Photoshop that Rob had to like go full CSI enhance on just to see the copy paste box of the names and that kind of thing, just to show fake data sheets. So yeah, I'm to the point where if I don't see it from G-Dubs, I don't believe it.
Right. No, 100%. Like, I agree with you.
Now, it would be hilarious if somebody was trying to make you look like an asshole by spending 40 hours of their week generating these fake rumors for you to run. That would actually crack me up because it's like, I mean, I read that article in 1 minute, dog. Like, you spent 40 hours trying to make me look like an asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got all the ad revenue from all the clicks. So, like, who's the real asshole here?
I mean, I didn't say all that, but you're not wrong. So yeah, I mean, it's just a fun little thing. Also on our radar, GW announced new McFarlane action figures again. So we got even more coming out. Yep. That sister's looking better and better.
I'm still wish she didn't have her helmet on.
Yeah, that's true.
For you guys who have inspected the picture, is the tabard cloth or is it textured plastic? I don't know how they do it.
I think it's textured.
I think it's textured plastic. All the other McFarlane stuff I have, they don't have cloth.
No.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Also, curiously, on the last podcast, when I said, hey, those McFarlane figures, the first run were back in stock, the very next day they were not in stock anymore. And I was like, that's weird, because it was the same weekend G-Dub was putting them up. They are, as of like an hour ago, back in stock on Amazon for delivery the first week of November. So if you missed out on the Artist Proof Intercessor, the Assault Intercessor, or the Necron Warrior, they are on Amazon from McFarlane for realsies. They're over there.
And if you're hesitating on getting one of these, they're $20 US. They are well worth it. Mm-hmm. Just pick one up. If it looks cool, if you're on the fence at all, just get it.
Just remind yourself, $20 is $20.
I mean, $20 is $20. You can get a great big action figure of a Space Marine, or you can spend $60 and get a little figure. Times 10.
Get like 7 ZJs for $20.
Oh, at least 100%. We talked about what's left to come out for Space Marines and Necrons already. If you're waiting for more Star Wars content on Disney Plus, Ewan McGregor said that the Obi-Wan TV series is going to start filming again in March 2021.
Cool.
He confirmed it. He said it's going to have a lot of him in it, which is good, but also other things.
Labeled Obi-Wan, I would assume so.
Yes. So
I'm looking forward to Mando season 2. I'm excited.
It's what, 2 weeks from now?
30th is the first episode.
Yeah, give or take. As Kenny mentioned, we're both going to be on the Army Painter stream tomorrow around 3:15 Eastern, 12:15 Pacific. Not a real time. And
okay.
It turns out they're both the same time. And last but certainly not least, Pop Goes the Monkey put out their new October release. It's called Big Rona.
Big Rona. I call it Mecha Squig.
All those are all true names. It's a really cool little kit. Did you magnetize yours?
As you stated, it doesn't need magnets. They sit flush.
Yeah, it does. It slots right in. So
I also have some hobby market watch news.
Let's hear it.
So for you guys out there that are jonesing for some Saturnine Terminators, there is a brand new set of Saturnine Terminators up on Pop Goes the Monkey in monkey resin. They are very cool. It's from my boy Carnage King. Gonna shout him out because he's my 3D guy. Made my custom 90s Plague Marines and my Saturnine Death Shroud Terminators.
Monkey resin isn't playing games right now.
They look pretty fresh.
Shout out to these gangsters. On Big Rona, I am painting them live on Twitch. Did the first installment on Tuesday. We're going to start painting them again tomorrow, or listen to this podcast for the first time today. It is a sick ass fucking model, and October hype is getting ramped up. I just finished today my webinar. Wyatt's custom 3D print he made for us for our Watsane clan. Webix, like only one ever made. Raekwon and tactical F-Shack armor. Raekwon. So that's done, and I'll be slapping him on an Elric's Hobbies junkyard base here soon, and continue.
I like
Big
their
Run.
junkyard bases.
But what's interesting, if you want the Chronicle to continue on Giant Mecha Squig for Pop Goes the Monkey, we did use our traditional Orktober recipe. We only do it like once a year, where we hit it with all the green pre-highlights and the green pre-shading. Green equals red workup, and so it's been a while since you've seen one of those workups. I got you covered.
Oh, is that where you start out with green and work it up to red?
Yeah, and that clip is in my highlights right now. Twitch, it's on my Patreon page. But more importantly, for October, I only open the window on the Watsane clan gear for 30 days in October every year, and that is going on right now. And I mentioned this to Haspil earlier, and he was like, oh, shit. He already spent all his money. But we do
on Necrons.
But we do have the large, big head sized beanie. Never made one of these before. Embroidered, one color, ready to go. That's in the fucking swag shop. I'm really excited about this. I've got one already ordered up from myself. These are print on demand. I don't have these. You know what I mean? So I can't wait to start wearing this because it's going to start getting cool pretty soon. Some of us are warm-blooded, some of us aren't. Just need a little extra help in this time of year.
I've heard that global warming is a myth.
It's a myth.
A myth.
I would respectfully ask Dr. Ghostiness to suck on my testicles. They are actually hand grenades. Get his mouth exploded.
What did he say? Put them in my mouth and get exploded.
He's like, oh, what does he say? No, he's like, actually, Professor Coda says anus has pussy for balls. And then he says, I would actually have hand grenades for balls, and I would ask the professor to put them in his mouth and get his mouth exploded. Juggalo news.
Juggalo news. We miss you.
That was like our shit.
You really need to bring that alert back. It's been too long. You need to bring it back.
Like, you guys know how like every year at Adepticon, something happens. Like we see something on the internet, and it's like whatever happens. Like if me and Haspil are driving 16 hours together to Illinois or whatever happens, it just gets in our head. Whatever it is, like we're like road hypnotized by whatever this phenomenon. It's happened every time we go to Adepticon, and then we get there and we share it with each other, and it's like we can't stop thinking or talking about it for like 4 days together. That was one of them. Juggalo news. Go online, look it up if you haven't seen it.
Global warming. That particular one.
So it's treasure.
So good. You can thank us later. By the way, not safe for work.
Nope.
Not even once.
Why are you listening to us at work? We are. No, don't do that.
Mistakes were made.
Rob, is that the end of the news cycle?
Yes.
Haspil's Corner.
Yeah, I got a couple things. The first one is coming out of the Antipodes, New Zealand. This guy named Battle Kiwi makes some like MDF board stuff, and he makes a 40K command data slate. It looks like a MDF smartphone. That's literally what it looks like, but it lets you track all your command points, missions, mission points, secondaries, primaries, all that stuff. Noble Knight has them, but they are sold out at this time. So go check it out and peep it. It's called the 40K command data slate. It's actually really cool. And then friend of the show, GD Walsh out of like Lincoln, UK. He, for those of us that play bolt action, he made a bolt action book. He like actually wrote a bolt action book, and it is available on pre-order right now. It is a campaign for D-Day, British and Canadian sectors. So that's actually really cool. I wanted to shout that out. And then
our senses are tingling.
Yeah.
Must have.
And then the other thing I have that kind of has to do with pop culture is when I was building the interminable model of the Silent King, I threw on a movie I had meant to see when it came out, and it somehow just fell off my radar. And it was a movie called The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot, and it stars Sam Elliott. Now, with a title like that, you would think it's some grindhouse, like awesome action, insane movie. It is not that at all. And the way I would recommend you think about it is read the title like it was a curse. Like The Man Who Killed Hitler and Then the Bigfoot. It is not something to celebrate. And the movie is very serious. It's very dour. It is a movie about growing old and maybe outliving your usefulness. It was not what I expected at all. It was a good movie, and I kind of need to watch it again because I'm on the fence as to whether or not any of it happened. I'm just like, I don't know. It is absolutely kind of crazy. Very strange movie, leaves you with some very weird emotions when you're done watching it. A good chunk of it is actually a love story about star-crossed lovers. So it was not what I was expecting at all. So fair warning, if you're going to go check that movie out, it is not a grindhouse action flick. It is a melodrama. So there you go.
You knew exactly what my brain was thinking when you said that title. I was like pretty much thinking Inglourious Bastards. Like, I was like, ooh.
Yeah, that's what I was expecting. I was expecting something like, like the Grindhouse movie, what was the first feature of that? Not Death Proof, the other one, Planet Terror. I was expecting something along the lines of Planet Terror, and it is not like that at all. Very well acted, very serious movie. I was just like, what is going on? And really very tragic. Like, you're just like, wow, this is really sad.
I'm watching that tonight.
I'm gonna watch Wing Commander.
Another classic.
That was from the pre-show. Make sure to catch that.
I'm gonna watch Wing Commander and this movie, and I'm gonna listen to Ringworld.
I think Saffron Burrows and Freddie Prinze Jr. are in that.
Saffron Burrows is in that.
Yeah.
For sure.
And who's that French guy? He's dope. I like him.
He was in everything.
It was.
Everything.
The dude was literally in everything.
He was in Bad Boys.
Oh, yeah.
And
he was awesome in Bad Boys.
Jürgen Prochnow is in it, too. He plays like one of the fleet admirals.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's like the OIC of the pilots.
Oh, okay, so he's the CAG or whatever.
I don't know what they call it in the Navy.
I think it's Commander Air Group, but
yeah, something like that.
Okay.
I only know that from Battlestar Galactica. I don't know anything about stuff if it's not told to me in a TV show.
So weird segue into Battlestar Galactica. If you guys haven't seen The Vow on HBO, it's a multi-part docuseries about the Nexium cult that got broken up about 5 years ago. You would be surprised the number of Battlestar Galactica actors and actresses that were part of that cult.
Wow.
Really, really weird. And I was like, I can't believe that all of these people were in there. This is
Caprica 6 one of them?
Which one was that?
Trisha Helfer?
No.
Because I'm like, if she's in the cult, I'm in the cult.
I'm really bad with actors and actresses' names, but the
General Adonis?
No, it was
Admiral.
The ones that the ones that got clearance to like show their faces in this documentary were two of the women. There was the short pixie mechanic from the show. I don't remember her name.
Who married the chief?
Yes. So she was in the cult. And the Asian actress who was also a pilot.
Boomer.
Yeah, that was her call sign. She was in the cult.
Dang.
Callie and Boomer, that's right.
Also, there's a really weird 6 degrees of separation to Casper Van Diem, which also blew my mind. I was like, what the fuck is going on? It is a riveting docuseries. You have to go watch it.
Now I'm gonna have to watch that on top of everything.
Yeah.
How am I gonna edit this podcast?
I don't know.
Just not. Got it.
Yeah.
Guys, do this thing perfect.
Then with the Smallville cult. Yeah. Allison Mack from Smallville was the ringleader of a sex trafficking cult in upstate New York.
First of all, yeah. How do you go from being in Hollywood to upstate New York?
You gotta watch the documentary because the guy who is in control of it is one of those sociopath charismatic geniuses that was able to trick people into doing some very unethical things whilst convincing them that it was in the name of ethics.
We're talking about that? That's what we're talking about? The sex cult thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, because it frames everything in a way that these people saw it. So it starts off as a self-help group. You pay for a class and it's a self-help thing, make you better at your job, blah, blah, blah. And then it kind of goes from there. And they frame everything in a way that these people saw it, where you listen to this guy say things and in your head as a viewer, this guy got arrested for sex trafficking. So he's a piece of shit. But you listen to what he's saying in the early episodes, and you're like, fuck, this guy actually makes a lot of sense. That's really good advice. And then it kind of spirals down from there. And they keep showing you people. They don't show everything at once. So every episode they show hey, by the way, this person was in there. And you're like, what the fuck?
I'm going to be watching TV all night.
I know what I'll be doing when I'm building the Void Dragon.
Interminable.
Yeah. It's why it's not even over yet. There's like 2 more episodes left. I've been watching it for like 8 weeks. It's oh my god.
A lot of peeps.
Well, if that's it for pop culture, let's do it. Let's meat potatoes this. We've got a list of stratagems to go through. The new Space Marine Codex. Stratagems.
Also, I got some cool news about the Codex. So anybody who might be going to events, I know events are few and far between, but I actually did see a bit of news from the 40K FAQ staff. So somebody sent them an email asking them a question and they got a reply. This might relate to you and resolve some things because we have like this new book. We have these like web FAQ indexes. We still have our supplements. We still have Psychic Awakening, that kind of thing. And people are kind of like, well, what is valid and what isn't? So this person asks, like, they're thinking, because the new index update didn't say that the core codex chapters, like the first founding, lost access to their Psychic Awakening rules like the Black Templars did, also weren't sure whether or not the new codex got certain war gear changes. It retroactively applied to older models that weren't garroted, for example, the Legends unit company veterans on bike. And they'd like some insight, right? And so they say, if you have any data sheets that haven't been updated, you must use whatever is printed on that data sheet. To use your example, if you're playing with company veterans on bike, then they won't get the increased wounds that the new data sheets for biker units got in the new Codex Space Marines. And the Storm Shield that they carry will still have the 3-up invulnerable save. We did say we weren't going to update those rules, and we intend to keep that promise. And then about Psychic Awakening, it's true the Black Templars rules found there are no longer legal to use. We have published an index for them. However, for all the other rules found in that book, they are legal to use. So if you're an Iron Hands player, you can still use the Father of the Future Warlord trait. Or if you are a World Eaters player, you can still use the Red Butcher's Stratagem. Every rule not in the Black Templars part of the Psychic Awakening book is still perfectly viable.
All right.
Get into stratagems. We're not going to go over every single little change. Lots of like nickel and dime changes, but we will go over our stratagems because there are some cool ones. So these have been reorganized into the new format of battle tactics, epic deeds, requisition, strategic ploys, and war gear stratagems in there. So to start off, we've got Death to Traitors for 1 CP. Use the stratagem in the fight phase when an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is selected to fight until the end of the phase. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack against a Heretic Astartes unit, you can re-roll the hit roll.
Solid 1 CP, and it's going to come up a lot.
Yep. Honor the Chapter. This is a really, really big change. So Honor the Chapter, 2 CP. Use the stratagem at the end of the fight phase. Select 1 Assault Intercessor Squad unit from your army that is within engagement range of any enemy units. That unit can fight again.
Ultra nerf.
Yeah. Took the fight twice and only gave it to assault.
Because it used to be infantry biker, then they added character to it so Robbie G could use it, and then that's what basically made Smash Captains work, which was like a plague. And now you're saying literally assault intercessors only. That's a huge change.
Fury of the First, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase when an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is selected to shoot, or in the fight phase when an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of that phase, each time a Terminator model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's hit roll.
Amazing. Holy shit, that's shooting and assault. Shooting and fighting. Plus when it hit, damn, dude.
And when you read through this, it's worded a little bit weird because it says keyword Astartes, but also then Terminator. So this is made to work with the inclusion of Deathwatch into this book. So if you have a mixed unit, it works only for the Terminators in that unit. Another huge change, transhuman physiology, 1 CP or 2 CP. Use a stratagem in any phase when a Primaris unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, an unmodified wound roll of 1 to 3 for that attack fails, irrespective of any abilities that the weapon or the model is making that attack may have. If that unit contains 5 or fewer models, it costs 1 CP. Otherwise, it costs 2.
We heard about this already, but yeah, undoubtedly one of the most powerful stratagems that have come out recently for Space Marines. Again, the focus of what it applies to has been greatly narrowed. Nerf.
Rapid fire, 2 CP. Use a stratagem at the end of your shooting phase. Select one intercessor squad or veteran intercessor squad from your army. That unit can shoot again.
Got to shoot twice stratagem for Space Marines?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just for intercessors and veteran intercessors.
So a unit that already fucks if you have a full 10 of them when it shoots can now shoot twice. That's a bread and butter.
Yeah, so they're gonna wipe whatever they're shooting at if you choose your targets right.
Mm-hmm. That's a powerful stratagem. That's been like the staple of every Chaos Space Marines army since the day we got our fucking codex. That's good.
Gene Rot Might, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Primaris unit from your army is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit roll of 6 automatically wounds the target.
What is that restricted to?
Primaris.
I mean, that's a good one for sure, but yeah, narrow focus.
Oh, yeah. This is one I'm personally really excited about. Unyielding in the face of the foe, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in any phase when a Gravis unit from your army selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack with a damage characteristic of 1 is allocated to a model in that unit, add 1 to any armor saving throw made against that attack.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's dope. That's a Strats. That's a narrow band, right? But I like this. I like this trend of like more situational, more about like the unit's abilities matter, and then like here's some cool, like spice that on top. That's powerful.
And my almost all Gravis armor army really loves this. It's really fun. Okay, so now we get into the Epic Deed stratagems. This one is probably going to make some people salty. Only in death does duty end. 2 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase when an Adeptus Astartes character from your army that has not already been selected to fight this phase is destroyed. Do not remove that model from play. It can fight after the attacking model's unit has finished making attacks. After resolving the destroyed model's attacks, it is then removed.
Ultra nerf, baby.
Yeah, but that sees them, like we were talking about the Wolfen last week. That sees them bringing that in line where you get a chance to fight. You just don't get a chance to fight.
You don't get to fight twice. Yeah, you're right. There, a trend has been established. A precedent is beginning to formulate here. That was the other wombo combo of the plague was Smash Captains.
Basically, they're saying, like, we want certain things to be able to fight twice. We don't want units of, like, Power Fists and Thunder Hammers and all this stuff to fight twice. It's way too strong. But if you have, like, Chain Swords or Chain Axes, like, that's cool because it's not like an OP unit that's fighting twice all the time.
Yeah, and like a Smash Captain, people use them as heat-seeking missiles, right? Because they can always kill, because they can go in there, smack you up like a Titan or something, then the Titan would dick stomp it, and then he would go again and finish the Titan off. And so you didn't care that you sacrificed your Smash Captain. They were being played totally ridiculously, and so the fact that it's basically saying you never get robbed of your ability to fight. That's totally reasonable. Mm-hmm. Right, but it definitely does change the way some of these units are being thought about now.
Let's see. Armor of Contempt, 1 CP, any phase, and it's a 5-up feel no pain against mortal wounds for Adeptus Astartes vehicles. It's
powerful. Yeah, it's situational, but powerful.
Yeah, I think that one has not changed.
No, that's been there.
Okay, so this is a newer one. So a lot of the Astartes vehicles used to have Power of the Machine Spirit. So now that rule all vehicles get, and they've changed the Power of the Machine Spirit rule into a new stratagem. So Power of the Machine Spirit, 2 CP. Use a stratagem in your command phase. Select one Adeptus Astartes Machine Spirit model from your army. Until the start of your next command phase, that model is considered to have its full wounds remaining for the purposes of determining what characteristics on its profile to use.
2 CP is more than I want it to be, but it has to be 2 CP to account for certain types of vehicles. Powerful.
Wisdom of the Ancients for 1 CP. That's gotta change. Use this stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Adeptus Astartes Dreadnought from your army, excluding Wolfen and Death Company models. Until the start of your next command phase, that model gains either the Rites of Battle ability or the Tactical Precision ability as shown below. Rites of Battle, Aura. While a friendly chapter core unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a hit roll of 1. Tactical Precision, Aura. While a friendly chapter core unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, reroll a wound roll of 1.
You can pick to be a captain or a lieutenant.
Yeah.
As opposed to you should just be captain.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is a little bit of a weird one because this is probably going to need not like a change FAQ, but just like a how does this work FAQ, because the thing that keeps most characters from benefiting from their own auras is the core keyword. But all dreadnoughts in this codex, with the exception of Wolfen and Death Company, have the core keyword. So technically, they benefit from their own aura when you play Wisdom of the Ancients. So do they want that to happen or do they not want that to happen? We'll have to wait to see.
Yeah, because currently the article gives a lot of intent and idea behind, the whole aura situation that it unfolded for us. But like on paper, technically it's because they're not core. So is GW because they're gonna FAQ the codex like they do after every codex, so they're gonna say, hey, by the way, like that's just how it works now. Find out.
Yeah. Commanding Oratory, 2 CP. Use this stratagem at the start of any of your phases other than your command phase. Select 1 Adeptus Astartes Chaplain unit from your army that has not recited a litany this turn. That model can recite 1 litany that has not already been recited by a friendly model this turn. That litany is automatically inspiring, do not roll, and takes effect until the start of your next command phase.
And it happens in any phase?
Any phase.
Ooh, so you can get around the whole like command phase, like got to be on the table to command phase.
Yes. So now you can take your Terminator Chaplain. He can deep strike with the, Dirty Mike and the boys. He can inspire them in the fight phase or the shooting phase. You can put a regular jump pack Chaplain next to a Gaia drop pod, all sorts of cool stuff now.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the one that people have been talking about with the ATV in the Apothecary. Combat Revival, 1 CP. Use a stratagem at the end of your movement phase. Select 1 chapter Apothecary unit from your army, and then select 1 friendly chapter infantry or chapter biker unit that is not at its starting strength and is within 3 inches of that apothecary. One of the selected unit's destroyed models is returned to its unit with its full wounds remaining.
Currently, because the ATVs can be massed in squadrons and they're just biker keyword, you could just like pop a whole ATV back at full strength.
Yeah.
How would you keep your apothecary up with the ATVs? Because you can't put them on bike, right?
Dark Angels can.
Really?
Oh.
What kind of guns do these ATVs have?
They got the multi-melter, the Gatler.
Yeah. It's
24-inch range?
It's got 2 shots.
That's how it's got 24-inch range. So like just 24-inch away from the enemy and you're the apothecary at the same time.
I like it.
Dirty.
Well, so the trick is because it doesn't have vehicle keyword, as long as you kill 1, it's no longer a unit of 3 or more. So as soon as you kill 1 of 3 ATVs, you can just target that apothecary now. So it kind of puts the kibosh on that whole thing. So that's like the way to deal with it until it gets FAQ.
It's a silly exploit that is, if you wanted to go all in on that strategy, fine.
Yeah. Okay, so now we get into the requisition stratagems. There are only 2 of them. And it's Relic of the Chapter and Hero of the Chapter. And this is a whole bunch of word salads, so I'm just going to explain how it works. They work exactly the same way, with the exception that you can only do it twice in a 2K game. You can do it 3 times in an Onslaught, which is over.
And this is how you buy your Warlord traits and your relics?
Yeah, so it's the extra Warlord trait and extra Relic stratagems. But instead of doing it as many times as you got characters or CP, you can only do each of these twice. It's a maximum.
In our current 2,000 point games.
Yes, because it clarifies like anything under Strike Force, you can do it once. Strike Force is twice, Onslaught 3 times. Oh, and now we get to the trap cards. These are my favorite. Hit and Run Warfare, 1 CP. This stratagem in your movement phase, when an Adeptus Astartes Biker, Land Speeder, or Storm Speeder unit from your army falls back, that unit is still eligible to shoot this turn, even though it fell back.
Always classy.
And something I noticed after Tactics class, the brand new speeders all have the Storm Speeder keyword.
Nice.
Hammer of Wrath, 1 CP. Use the stratagem in your charge phase when an Adeptus Astartes jump pack unit from your army finishes a charge move. Select 1 enemy unit within engagement range of that jump pack unit and roll 1d6 for each model in that jump pack unit that is within engagement range of that enemy unit. For each dice result that equals or exceeds that enemy unit's toughness characteristic, it suffers 1 mortal wound.
I like this update to Hammer and Wrath, like from the old days. Impact attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Skilled Riders, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase when an Adeptus Astartes Biker, Land Speeder, or Storm Speeder unit from your army that advanced is selected as the target of a ranged attack. Until the end of the phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. So if you advance with those, you get -1 to hit. Play this stratagem. Let's see. Okay, so this is one of the new ones that I find very, very interesting for 9th edition format. Uncompromising Fire, 2 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase. Select 1 Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army that is performing an action. That unit can shoot this phase without that action failing.
That's a solidly useful ability.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means you can put some thick units on some objectives to do some actions, like raise the flag, and they can still do their thick boy fucking shooting.
Very excited by that. Super cool. Steady Advance, 2 CP, Adeptus Astartes Infantry. You can move and shoot as if you stayed still.
I wonder who would use that.
Well, my aggressors would have liked to use that.
I guess just Eradicators.
Yeah. Or Suppressors. Suppressors got a little bit of a buff, and they're only 100 points.
Yeah, I was going to say Suppressors would love that.
Yeah, Suppressors.
Yep.
Okay. Another new one. Very, very cool. Adaptive Strategy, 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your command phase if a chapter warlord from your army is on the battlefield and a combat doctrine is active for your army. Select 1 chapter core unit from your army that is on the battlefield. Until the start of your next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, the Devastator Doctrine, Tactical Doctrine, and Assault Doctrine are all considered to be active for that attack.
For the whole phase?
For the whole turn.
The whole turn.
Wow. Yeah.
Damn.
Until the next command phase. Yeah, you use it in your command phase, and until the next command phase, the unit you select gets all 3 doctrines active for that turn.
Bro, just like a simple unit of Terminators with Power Fists and Stormbolters are like, they fuck.
Yeah, another good example is like a Dreadnought because it has an array of like heavy.
You can take advantage of literally all of them.
Yeah, yeah. So
but
you can
but their punchy hand is already like -4 AP, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like,
I mean, it's just a good example of like things that benefit from all 3 at the same time.
Anything that can benefit from at least 2 of them, you're going to be happy with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the Terminator unit can have like a Cyclone missile launcher, a bunch of Stormbolters, and fucking Power Fist.
Yeah.
But that's like, and they can get the whole +1 to hit for 1 CP stratagem you talked about earlier.
Right. This is a really good one, just off the top of my head, for like any of the guys that have their super doctrine and the devastator doctrine, who get kind of fucked after the first turn. It's great for them. And the Deathwing Terminators really like this because you can take like a plasma cannon and a cyclone missile launcher. And I think that's it. But you get your Devastator Doctrine, like shoot a unit and then charge and have the Assault Doctrine active and all that good stuff.
Nasty.
Suppression Fire, I think, is unchanged. It's 1 CP. You shoot with a Whirlwind that hits. That unit can't fire Overwatch.
Which is not as important these days.
Yeah. Okay, here's a new one. Terror Troops, 2 CP. Use the stratagem in your command phase. Select one Reaver unit from your army. Does 2 things. That unit gains the following ability, Terror Troops Aura, until the start of your next command phase. While an enemy unit is within 3 inches of that unit, it loses the objective secured ability and any similar abilities that allow them to control an objective marker, regardless of the number of enemy models within range of that objective marker.
Wow.
And until the end of the turn, each time that Reaver unit ends a normal move, an advance, or a charge move within 3 inches of an enemy unit that is performing an action, roll 2d6. If the total exceeds that enemy unit's leadership characteristic, the action the unit is attempting to perform immediately fails.
Now I want a pocket Reaver unit. Just to hide behind a wall and wait for your cool little thing to jump on an objective. Maybe do an action. It's like, bro, I just took your primary point and I took your fucking secondary point. Mm-hmm. That's dirty. Like, and obviously you gotta make a Reaver unit work and be in that right situation. And
yeah, and I'll say what I said in tactics class. I don't think this makes Reavers the unit like better or good because they're still kind of not, but it makes them useful in the format, and they're fairly cheap for 5 of them. All right. Guerrilla Tactics, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your movement phase when a Phobos unit from your army that is more than 6 inches from any enemy models is selected to move. If the mission you are playing is using the Strategic Reserves rule, place that unit into Strategic Reserves.
Love old bounce back out, bounce back in.
And we actually talked about this one for like 10 minutes straight. Orbital Bombardment for 3 CP. Use this stratagem in your command phase. If an Adeptus Astartes Warlord from your army is on the battlefield, select 1 point on the battlefield and place a marker on that point. At the start of your next command phase, roll 1d6 for each unit within 6 inches of the center of that marker, adding 1 if the unit being rolled for is within 3 inches of the center of the marker, and subtracting 1 if the unit being rolled for is a character. On a 2 through a 5, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. And on a 6, that unit suffers D6 mortal wounds. The marker is then removed. You can only use the stratagem once.
Interesting, because when you first read it to me, all I heard was like, well, they changed the roll scale, right? Now it's on basically, don't roll a 1, bad shit happens, right?
Yeah.
But you get a better roll if they're even closer to it, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously -1 for characters. It was always that way, but the rolls used to be harder, but it used to happen right when you did it, right? Like you used to say, shoot that motherfucker.
Well, also your warlord could not have moved, and he had to be able to physically see the point.
Yep. But this just seems like it's never going to hit anything.
Right.
Well,
that's what it looks like.
Yes, that's what we're going to say, is that on the face, this looks terrible. But then when you think about how to utilize it in the format, this is a great way of making sure that people who are on an objective will move off of it, or blocking movement and making your opponent move places they don't want to go. So you're making a decision for your opponent in your favor. So it's like, well, I don't want that unit to come over to this side, so I'm going to box them in with this thing. Or they're on an objective and I don't want them to be there. You're either going to get off that objective or you're going to take all these mortal wounds.
Yeah, because Mike, most of the games, right, have flanking center field objectives, and some of them have like central backfield objectives, right? Some of them have them in the center, but that's more rare, right? So what you're looking at is like, I'm going to hold something in my backfield, and then you're going to divide your force, and you're going to go after the 2 flanking objectives. And so it's very reasonable to look at it and be like, well, this is like my soft side because I really want to load up over here. And at least for turn 1, I don't want him to come over here on my soft side. Right? I want to just take that primary, get in position, and then go. Literally, you can drop this marker 3 inches on their side of the table from the objective you don't want them to go to. So if they even attempt to get within 3 inches of the objective that you're barely holding behind a wall, they're going to be hitting the full force of like rolling 2 ups, dog, and you're fucking all you do is take mortal wounds. Or it's one of those battlefields where it's like we both have one and some shit's in the center. You're just like, hey, get out that objective on turn 1, or all of your shit in your fucking army is taking D3 mortal wounds.
I'm even thinking of some other wily shit.
I don't know, but 3 CP seems really steep.
Yeah, it
just
is.
move somebody off an objective.
Yeah.
Not all Space Marines are equal, but there are a lot of Space Marines that get a lot of free CP for having certain characters in their army. Like, I think Dark Angels can, the Sanguinor can do that. If you have Marneus in your army or Gilliman, you get like 3 free CP. So you usually start with like a over 12 amount of CP. So it's like, in my eyes, if I have Marneus in my army, it's a free orbital bombardment in my first turn.
Yeah, like an orbital bombardment has never been like the gangster shit. It's always been like theoretically like cool. There's going to be moments where if you are playing Ultramarines and you did come with 3 free CP, I guarantee there's going to be a moment when you're going to look at the way this guy's army is and the way there's only like there's a lot of different missions. And I always encourage people who do this in tactics discussions, go through other missions, visualize how you're going to use your army immediately to deploy and then get 15 points on primary turn, like the first time you can score. Look at that, because your opponent's going to be doing similar things, but maybe you're one step ahead of them because you already memorized your layout, right? Her layouts were absolutely this delayed orbital bombardment is going to be crucial to getting that 15 while they only get 5. But it is a 3 CP investment, and like, I don't think it's going to be that commonly utilized, but like,
no, I think it's real sketch. That's my opinion. I'm like, I mean,
I don't like it for the damage. I like it for controlling movement and stuff.
I think it might be something you just pull out, you keep in your back pocket for that one situation, that one game out of 10, where you're just like, man, I just need to get this guy off this objective.
Yeah. I like that. Like, I was kind of shadow boxing it against my Death Guard, and my Death Guard like to control the middle. So, placing it in the middle of a big cluster of stuff that's all kind of clumped for aura bonuses and all that kind of stuff. It's like you have to give up the high ground, basically, or you're going to take all of this damage. And I was even thinking of like, well, there's always like, there might be that one spot like in your deployment zone where you just can't place models and somebody's going to put like a drop pod there in their first turn. So just like place the orbital bombardment like right there. And so it's like, you can come in here. It's the only place you can to do your dumb like Devastator thing, but you're going to take some on your next turn. So it's almost like preemptively setting them up to get hit because that's their only option.
And
to not be there.
To Haspil's point though, like on the expensiveness of it, like there's a shoot twice stratagem that I'm going to be using all game. There is a +1 to hit stratagem. There's a wisdom's the ancient stratagem. Like there is like so many fucking and then there's, of course, I got to buy my warlord traits and my relics. I've already got like units in my budget right now that like I'm like running out of CP. So like this is, as much as I'd love to use it right at the gate, I'm more toward Haspil's opinion on like I'm gonna like blow most of my CP, and then when I get 3 back, if I need it to to divert you from an objective kind of late game, that'll probably be words utilized. But like a lot of stratagems are very situational, and you just often, and I think that's where the game has gone. The game has gone more toward the reactionary use of your stratagems versus the pre-planning.
Right. All right, so that's it for all the trap cards. Get into war gear stratagems. And just to kind of clarify, a lot of these say some weird phrases. So in one, it says like an Adeptus Astartes shock grenades like unit, right? So think of these as like, this is a stratagem you can do if a unit is equipped with this war gear or has like an ability from a piece of war gear. Auspex scan, 2 CP. Use a stratagem at the end of the reinforcements step of your opponent's movement phase. Select one Adeptus Astartes infantry unit from your army that is not within engagement range of any enemy units. That unit can shoot as if it were your shooting phase, but its models can only target a single eligible enemy unit that was set up as reinforcements this turn, and that is within 12 inches of their turn when doing so. Tremor shells for 1 CP largely unchanged with one little bit. So instead of cutting in half the move, advance, and charge, it cuts in half the move, but only subtracts 2 from advance and charge rolls. Shock and Awe for 1 CP. In your shooting phase, when Adeptus Astartes shock grenades or land speeder storm unit from your army is selected to shoot, select one enemy unit within 6 inches. Until the start of your next turn, the selected unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend. Each time a model in the selected unit makes an attack, subtract 1 from that attack's hit roll.
Okay.
Kind of okay, man. Assault launchers for 1 CP. Use this stratagem at the start of your charge phase. Select one Adeptus Astartes assault launchers unit from your army and one enemy unit, excluding vehicle or monster units, within 9 inches of that unit. That enemy unit can either brace or duck for cover. If that unit braces, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. If that unit ducks for cover, then until the end of the turn, subtract 1 from the attack's characteristic of models in that unit, and that unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend.
Highly situational, but interesting mechanic.
Yes, I agree. Melt-a-Bomb, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in the fight phase. When Adeptus Astartes Melt-a-Bomb unit from your army is selected to fight, select one model in that unit. That model can only make one attack and must target an enemy vehicle. If a hit is scored, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends.
Oh, what I expected.
Grav Pulse, 1 CP. Use this stratagem in either your movement phase, when an Adeptus Astartes repulsor field unit from your army falls back. Until the end of the turn, that unit is still eligible to shoot, even though it fell back. Your opponent's charge phase. When an Adeptus Astartes repulsor field unit from your army is selected as a target of a charge, until the end of that phase, subtract 2 from the charge rolls made for any unit that declares a charge against that repulsor field.
I like that they took some of the fucking list of insanely good rules out of the fucking abilities section of that unit into the paywall.
Back on the Melt-a-Bomb one, that's 2d3 mortal wounds.
What did I say?
I think you just said D3.
Oh yeah, 2d3.
That sounds way better.
Maybe I did not enunciate. 2d3, sorry. Hellfire Shells, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. When an Adeptus Astartes infantry model from your army shoots with a heavy bolter, a Hellstorm heavy bolter, or an Exeter heavy bolter. You can only make one attack with that weapon this phase, but if a hit is scored, the target suffers D3 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends. If a hit is scored against a monster unit, that unit suffers 3 mortal wounds instead of D3.
Useful. I mean, like, there's some useful ones, but...
Yeah, and they just expanded the heavy bolters so it affects heavy intercessors, because those 2 other options were the ones that only heavy intercessors can take.
Okay.
Flak Missile for 1 CP. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when an Adeptus Astartes infantry model from your army targets an aircraft with a missile launcher. You can only make one attack with that weapon this phase, but add 1 to the attack's hit roll. If a hit is scored, the target suffers 2d3 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends.
Didn't it used to be only D3?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Damn.
I'm pretty sure it used to be D3. That is significantly more better
Yeah.
than previous.
And the last one is Smokescreen, 1 CP. Use a stratagem in your opponent's shooting phase when an Adeptus Astartes smokescreen unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. Till the end of that phase, each time an attack is made against that unit, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll.
This is what smoke launchers are now.
Yes. Because what they did is they changed the vehicle stuff that could take them, and they just gave them like the smokescreen keyword. So, all sorts, anything that could do like pop smoke, that's not like a special grenade. I think like the incursors or whatever have, they have smokescreen keyword now.
It makes sense. It's like a holdover from all previous editions was like smoke launchers, extra armor. We used to buy those things. There was all this shit. And now, hey, it costs resources to do this. I'm with it.
Yeah, and like the new layout of the codex is much better. So much better. Like you can look at it on the side of the book, and all of the sections have like a color coded tab that you can then see when they're all stacked up, so you can kind of help know when to open it up. And it is all organized where you have your data sheets, and the points are like the last things in the book. So no more searching like, oh, do I search like before this section for like the codex rules, and then like I got to go to this middle section for my data sheets, and then like who knows where the points are, so the points values are the very last thing, other than the rules reference. Rules reference is the last front and back page of the codex, which is super handy for referencing. Really glad they brought that back. And the way they structured points, where you have like a nested like parent-child thread, is way easier to read. So much better.
Yeah, and as an aside, the app actually worked. So it's like when I bought my codices, I put in the code. Had to go online on the web to put in the code. But once I did that, it unlocked in the app, like seamlessly, no trouble. So I'm like, well, okay. If you guys can keep this up and give us an army builder, this app might start to become worth it.
Yeah, we're just gonna like give my friend my code because I'm never gonna use that app.
Well, it's actually really cool. I like the layout of the data sheets really well in the app. They made it very, very simple. The stratagems are still jacked. I would like to have the stratagems laid out like they are in the book. Categorically, they're not. They're laid out alphabetically, which granted you can just find them alphabetically, but
right. But you'd have to remember the name.
Yeah, and it's like but yeah, as far as that went, I was expecting some shenanigans trying to put in the code and everything, and it just worked for the Necron and the Space Marine Codex. It just unlocked them. Hey. Fine, everything's in there. In fact, while Wyatt was reading all that and everything, you guys are going to think this is funny, but I bought my codices, took out the box for the Silent King, and my codices are somewhere in the basement. I don't know where I put them. So I've been looking at my app this whole time.
That makes me happy and hoping for the future. But I won't lie, GW, because all these codexes are coming out, and my whole hey, for how much money you're charging me, and I have all the codexes, that's a good deal. But 10 codexes come out by February, you just cut that deal in half. I don't get this fucking army builder, January, basically. By January, that's it. It's it for me. Battlescribe forever now. So
Yeah, KR Quinn brings up a good point. So one thing that we were talking about in previous casts was the faction secondaries. So we have the three secondaries in here, and it's weird because it gives the distinction there for match play. And the example they give is Eternal War, Mission Pack, and the 40K core rulebook, but does not mention the GT book. And so is the GT book have a specific name, like organized play distinction, or can these chapter approved rules with these faction secondaries work for them? Because one of the things that was a big red flag for some of us was what happens if they give a faction a really OP secondary, and it kind of seems like they did with Space Marines in the Oaths of Moment secondary.
I'm looking through it right now, but we all suspected this is just the terrain rules that have been coming out. It's look, that shit isn't going to happen to GT. And they've already done faction-based mission objectives and shit, right? That's pretty much never flown. That's never flown because the problem is some people get them. That's the table, right? Okay, sure, my rule book is new, but I'm playing my models, right? But
so I saw that you have the GT book in your hand. Tell me what section While We Stand, We Fight is in.
While We Stand, We Fight? What is While We Stand?
Oh, that's a secondary.
It's a secondary. Tell me what section that's in.
Under secondaries, page 8.
Yeah, because there's 3 categories of secondaries. Purge the enemy, battlefield supremacy, no mercy, no respite. Whereas while we stand, we fight secondary.
That's on page 8. That's like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 secondary. Page 8.
My book is in the car and Kenny doesn't understand.
What section?
They're a category at the top. Like it's in
no
like
mercy,
bold.
no mercy, no respite.
Okay, cool. So that stops one thing that I was wondering about, because Space Marine lists right now have been really like sweeping wins with builds based around while we stand, we fight. And I was going to get real worried if you could take that and Oaths of Moment, because it's basically a free 30 points. But you can only take one of those. You can't take both because they're both in the same section. But this one is like, if you're playing against Space Marines and they're just like tabling the shit out of you and doing all sorts of Space Marine things rather than like being really optimized for the format, Oaths of Moment is like, it is so free. It's like ITC Engineers free, man. So nice, I don't know. This is kind of a red flag for me unless something official comes out.
I don't expect these to be in GTs. Like shit like this is historically never made the cut.
Yeah.
Because like it's one thing, you can't tell someone you can't play your army, your faction until all the factions come out. You just can't. But you can tell someone like, we have a way of playing the game that there's a book about. You don't get to play it differently than the rest of us. Like you don't get to physically have different access to different secondaries than us.
Right. So yeah. So like like when we did tactics class, the way that I read it was that you can only do it from like match play out of the core book, but the wording on it is like, it's for like chapter approved match play. And they only give the one example. So technically you can use it in the GT book. So this is going to be a question you might have to ask your TOs, because like, I have a tournament I'm going to next month. I'm going to be like, is this legal? Because like I've already committed to playing Ultramarines since the Death Guard book won't be out until December, and I don't want to get just like shit stomped by all the hot new Space Marine stuff. So
people can't have access to mission objectives that other people don't have access to. That's just like silly. And even when everyone had their Maelstrom decks. Like that, and here locally we played Maelstrom. It's at ITC. We still banned that shit because they're not all created equal. Some of them are just outlandish. Yeah, it's legal in match play for sure, Caraquin. But we played ITC circuit GTs, and they're going to be like no special secondary, no faction based missions.
I do think if we get to a spot where like everybody has their 9th edition codex out, you can like look at it and kind of revisit it. But that's basically what I've been hearing from a lot of people who are, still like on the pulse of Space Marine stuff, is that like codex warfare and shock tactics are like pretty poopy, but Oaths of Moment is like a free 15 points. And so like that disparity alone is a red flag, in that like some of them are like thematic or barely useful outside of casual play. And then you have one that's just like, yeah, like literally every Space Marine list is going to get 15 points on this every game, which is kind of against the way that they structured the secondaries in 9th.
And Tommy Corrigan, it is different. He says, is it different than some factions benefit differently from standard secondaries more than others? Like Black Templar can't take a psychic. Yeah, because that already exists. We already have a list of secondaries that you have to pick from and figure out how your army fits in them.
Actually, they can. There's a specific one for if you don't have any psychers in your army. Black Templars can take.
Right. But I mean, to answer your question, it is different. It is 100% different than that, because that's already accounted for. That's why we have a list of secondaries that you slot into your brand of 40K.
Right. Because you can build lists like an infinite number of ways, given how many unit choices and the detachments and all that. So it's basically like, yes, with your army build that you brought to this event, some secondaries may not be as useful as they are to other players there. But there is a difference of saying like, I have this whole other book that you guys don't have access to with this secondary that is like free as fuck for me.
Yeah.
So that's an unfair advantage.
Yeah, even if it wasn't OP, objectively, you don't get to have an additional 3 on that list that nobody else does.
Yeah.
Like that's just ridiculous. Like, so I would, maybe your local scene will play it, but like don't expect to see that make the cut for the ITC championship circuit. It's outlandish, and it fully was expected.
Yep. I mean, that's one of the things that I was like, I don't like this.
I mean, bringing your own bunker is technically legal too, but like every TO was like, no, we're not doing that. So,
yeah.
But good section.
Yeah.
We covered it. All the stratagems. What do you think, Rob?
I think Haspil should take us out.
1, don't you ever touch me again. 2, don't you ever touch me again. Now you have no idea who the hell I am or where I've come from, and I'm not about to tell you my life story. All I need to be to you and everybody else on this dome is a fixed point. The last man standing.